Welcome to the first episode of Death, Dice and Diaries, a solo RPG actual play channel. I am Australia, local dead girl and lich Vtuber. I was originally planning on starting this channel a bit later on, like towards the end of February, but this game releases today and I thought it might be good to have a sort of behind the scenes background view on how to get started with the game. Alright, so our game is called the Archivium. It is a dark academia / cozy horror solo RPG. It is a journaling game with a little bit of action thrown in for good measure. Now, when I started working on this game, it was last year during National Game Development Month, Naga Demon. The idea had been to do a 30 to 50 page base game, like a zine type game almost, and then have that in development for a year, for all of 2025, where I would release the base game in January, and then every month or bi-monthly, depending on workload, I would release like a bite-sized expansion pack that's added new mechanics, new quests, new gameplay, just something that you can slot into your game at any time if it starts to feel a little bit samey or you need just something new and fresh in your game. It was always meant to be optional content and that you can use at anytime you like, however you like. So I still plan on doing that, but during during the playtesting, this game sort of exploded and it went from my 30-page idea to a 226-page monstrosity. So this is still just the base game, but it is a big one now. The game itself, you play a first-year university student at a prestigious but relatively normal university, college, wherever you like. The game is set up that you can put it anywhere in any country or any era, or if you do want a more magical type of experience, you can do that as well. You have been drawn in by a secret society and recruited to be part of their custodial team that work in their archive. Now, this is a repository of dangerous, forbidden knowledge that the general population are not supposed to know about. So this is all the academia stuff that is just a little bit off center and things that they would prefer to stay out of the hands of Joe Public. So the game itself is split into two sections. It is your early game section, which is your early shift, it's called. This is the cozy part of your game. It is mostly dealing with setting up the actual archive, building the books, building the society, creating NPCs as you need them, helping them, sorting everything out. And then the late section, as you gain influence with their society, you get more responsibility, and you eventually get promoted to the late shift. And that is where the more horror side of the game comes in, where things are now actively trying to kill you, and you have to fight against them and make sure you survive, and the archive survive, and the knowledge above all survives. So the most of this is all set up for the early section. And then you'll see we have a couple of appendices. We have a heart, a diamond, a spade, and a club. Each of these are a different subgenre of horror. So if you ever want to replay the game, maybe your character died off and you want to try something new, maybe you are just bored with one character and want to try a new one. Each appendix has its own set of oracles, like NPC tables, roll tables, all that, prompts. So each game will feel fairly fresh and your archive will never be the same twice in a row. The game is also, as it's broken up into sections, broken up in a couple of different indexes. Now, this main index is all your early shift. This is the setting up of your game, setting up your world building, your lore, all of that. Then there's the actual gameplay, which is your downtime, your early shift, the locations you have access to. Then late access, you have your appendices, hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. You'll see each of these have a index of their own. So everything changes as soon as you get to the late shift. Introduction gives you a little bit of behind the scenes information. Let's see, to play this game, you need any kind of recording equipment, device, method, a journal, a notebook. I do all my journaling digitally. I use Notion for it. I have horrendous handwriting. My hands cramp. Now you could also, if you like a digital method, there's OneNote you can try. There's Obsidian. There's a million other things. Lawkeeper. I don't remember all of them, but if anybody wants me to actually do some research into this, I can. Anyway, you need your recording method. You need a standard deck of cards with the jokers removed, and you need one 6-sided die. Now, when I say standard deck of cards, I mean like your bicycle cards, your basic, cheapest play any game poker cards. You can play the game with like more fancy cards, like the illustrated kinds, but there is one thing. NPC creation is set up. You do need to count the symbols on the card. So if you have an illustrated deck, your symbols might not be in the standard places, so your results might be a little bit different. You might need to make some amends to actually get it to work for you. So we have our university, some background information on that. University, you have morning classes, 6 a.m. to noon. Currently, there is no gameplay attached to this. You go to class, you go to labs, you do your studying. I did think maybe one of the codices, the expansion packs, might deal with morning classes. Maybe add a skill system to the game using that. I don't know yet. If you are a Patreon, please vote, please suggest. Let me know what you would like to see in the game, and we can decide from there what exactly are going to be built into the future codices. Alright, so then you have your afternoon, which is your downtime section. This is from noon to 6 p.m. We currently have mechanics for resting and for exploring a couple of different campus locations. There's journaling prompts attached to those. There are no mechanics or specifics tied to socialization and participating in extracurriculars. So if you do want to do that on your downtime, you are welcome to come up with a system of your own. You can decide how long this takes, what methods you want to follow. These are also things that might get covered in future codices. I'm not sure yet. I was thinking socialization might come in with a romance and rivals kind of February codex. Who knows? We'll see. Then we move on to our secret society that just tells you a little bit about what they do, but most of this information you will create yourself. So this is just a little bit of background of what they stand for and what you need to build for it. Then there's your archive, which is no ordinary library. It's full of secrets and creepy things and things that do want to eat your face. There are 2 shifts in the archive. The early shift is for all new initiates, which as you are just starting to play will be your character. That runs from 6 p.m. to midnight. It is the coziest section of the game. You mostly deal with creating books, adding them to the shelves, building NPCs and guiding them around, doing actual cozy work in the archive. Whereas the late shift, as soon as you've started to prove yourself to society, you get promoted to the late shift. That is from midnight to 6 a.m. And that is when the horror of the game starts to come forward a little bit more. You will find there will be encounters, there's things that want to kill you, the NPCs get creepier, the books get creepier. The late shift is mostly when your appendix starts kicking in. Horror and safety tools. You are responsible for curating your own experience. If you find a prompt is too creepy or it makes you feel uncomfortable, you are welcome to change it, to omit it, to do something completely different with it. The game, ideally, it would be atmospheric and like a little bit of dread, but it's not supposed to go into overly graphic or dramatic territory. So just feel free to adapt to the game as you need to. Alright, so coming soon is the expanding archive. I've told you about this a little bit already. That's the new the codices that come in monthly, bi-monthly. Legacy elements. Ideally, I would like everybody, players, to be involved in the creation of the system. So, like, if you have a character and you have, maybe you've built interesting NPCs, or you built interesting books, or if you just have, like, snippets of your journal that you want to submit, that could be things that can be found by other players of other characters somewhere in the future. So then we get to our orientation week. This is the getting started section of our game. It is broken up into a couple of steps. I think it's 7 to 9. I can't remember completely exactly now. Each step has an action attached to it. Actions in the game are... One action is more or less corresponding to 1 hour of in-game time. That is, actions is how we track our time schedule for the days. Like, every part of the day is broken up into like 6-hour sections. So you have your morning section 6 hours, afternoon 6 hours, and each shift is 6 hours by itself. So that you get 6 actions for each of these sections. You don't have to use all your actions. You can use as many as you like. You can, if you only want to do 1 action and then skip to the next thing, you can. Actions is just to help you to keep like an internal clock of more or less what time it is in your game at any given time. So our first step, it's 1 action. For orientation week, you don't actually need to count your actions. You can if you like. This is mostly just to say how long it takes your character to move through orientation to actually start their their career with the society, with the university, things like that. So you can do this in maybe 1 or 2 days, or they can take a whole week to do this. Up to you, your choice. So we start with your character arriving at the university. You go through the quad. You get all your what do you get? The ID book, your little ID thingy, your lanyards, your assignments, things like that. We will go to our foundation sector from here. Journey begins with that. Our foundational charter is heavily inspired by Ironthorn's World Truths section, which I absolutely love. I just like how it gives you all this insight into the lore of your universe, and you get to build it, but in a guided sort of way. So that's what we will be going through now. Foundational charter is broken down into 4 sections: the university, the secret society, the archive, and the custodian. Custodian being your character that you play. There's only a couple of questions in each, so you can pick which of the options you like most, or you can draw cards for it. I'm going to draw cards because I like a bit of randomness in my game. I don't have a hand cam at the moment, so I can't show you my cards, but I will tell you what I draw. Our first card, we are looking at where is our university located. I drew a 5 of clubs, so it is nestled in an old forest, dense canopy of leaves, air hums with unseen life, founded within the last 80 years, so it's fairly young. And it is fairly modern, but it is in a very old forest. So that could be interesting. Moving on, next question is, what is the university known for? I drew a 7 of clubs, so natural sciences and environmental engagement. The school excels in botany, folklore, and environmental studies. That makes sense for something set in the forest. There's a beekeeping society, which is famed for its honey. Sports include archery, equestrian events, rugby, trail running, and orienteering competitions. So like I said, these things here, there's currently no mechanics associated for that, but maybe in the future there will be. Let me know if that's something you think would be interesting. The way I play my games is I make all the notes, and then I come back and I actually do all the journaling. I don't stop halfway through to journal first, otherwise I'm breaking my own momentum. What does the university look like? I have a 10 of diamonds, so a neo-Gothic with towering spires and stained glass windows, with gargoyles perched atop the roof. Oh, that is definitely an interesting one to be set in the forest, also being very young, a very young college. So somebody was a tad dramatic, perhaps. Alright, what's the general atmosphere of the university? I have a 9 of hearts, so intense and research-driven. Campus buzzes with the urgency of discovery. Lab lights glow late into the night, and study groups huddle over stacks of notes and experiments. There are student-run science fairs and research expos. Alright, this works very well with a school that excels in maybe not folklore, but botany and environmental studies definitely. Right, then we move on to the society. How is it organized? I have a Jack of Hearts. So the society is run as a council of scholars, each holding equal weight in discussions. Members gather for intense debates and discussion, often valuing intellectual contributions mostly. That also makes sense for a very science-orientated type of college. What are the society's initiation practices? I have a 2 of spades. Initiates must spend a solitary night in an isolated campus location, tasked with confronting their inner fears and submitting a reflective journal by dawn. Who founded the society? I have a Ace of Spades. A group of rogue researchers driven out of conventional academia banded together to share their discoveries. Their work often skirted the edge of what was deemed acceptable. Alright, so this gets interesting now, because we are a highly science-focused university. We do environmental actions, but it skirts the what is deemed acceptable by polite society. So that could be we could be training eco-terrorists. Hopefully not, but we'll see what we can do with this later on. All right, how does the society maintain its secrecy? I have a Jack of Clubs. Secrecy is upheld through trust built over generations. Knowledge is passed through word of mouth and familiar connections rather than written records. So there's a big chance that maybe I am a sort of legacy. That's how I got into the secrets of the society. We will see. All right. What does the society promise its members? So how does it draw them in? I have a 2 of diamonds. A network of protection and influence, both within the university and beyond. Members can rely on powerful allies and lifelong support. Let's go to the archive. Where is it located? I have a Queen of Hearts. Hidden deep within the labyrinth series of underground tunnels. Alright, so we are beneath the school. We are underneath the university is where our archive is hidden. What does it look like? I have a jack. Oh no, that's a 10 of spades, sorry. Narrow corridors packed with ancient books and scrolls, many stacked haphazardly by unseen hands. Some shelves are locked with heavy mechanisms. Alright, so we know it's narrow. Makes sense. It is, a series of tunnels. What does it feel like inside the archive? I have a Queen of Clubs. The space feels strangely alive, as if it's watching you. The faint rustle of unseen movements mingles with the scent of fresh herbs and forest air. That makes sense, being that we are in a forest, and I don't like that the weird little tunnels are a bit alive. This feels like being underneath Paris, I think. Under those bone tunnels that they have. What's it called? The catacombs. Ooh. Could we do a university in France? Maybe. I'm not going to do a French accent. I am terrible at accents. You can hear I have quite a strong accent already as it is. So adding a fake accent on top of that, no bueno. Alright, so the Custodian, let's move on to our actual player character. What is my field of study? I have a 6 of Hearts. Sciences and discovery. Works with the information that we already have. You are drawn to uncovering how the world works, whether through fields like biology, physics, environmental studies, or data analysis. You thrive on curiosity, finding joy in patterns, problem solving, and exploration. Maybe you take electives like intelligent design, psychological field research, and urban ecosystems. So let's see. Science and discovery works well with our that we have already established, which was what intense and research driven, environmental studies, dodgy practices late at night. Background. What is my background? I have a 9 of clubs. You are a legacy student. Ha! I said that earlier, didn't I? You are a legacy student following the footsteps of ancestors who studied here. Whispers say your family knows truths about the university they'll never admit to outright. So I already maybe entered the society knowing who they are and what the archive is. Why did you join the society? I have a 4 of spades. They're reluctant. All right. The role wasn't your choice. Perhaps a mistake, a coincidence, or ill-fated connection brought you here. You don't trust the society's motives, but leaving feels like an even greater risk. Oh, that's an interesting one. So not only am I a legacy, but I'm a reluctant legacy. I'm here studying science, and this archive is all about magic and dangerous things, and they don't feel like they mesh well together for me, perhaps. So maybe I know my family believes in all this magical mumbo-jumbo garbage. Maybe I don't, personally. Alright, so then I have strengths. You can select up to 2 or come up with your own. Let's see, quick study, steady nerves, pattern recognition, social intuition, which I personally don't have. Methodical, spatial awareness, a researcher, and creativity. Okay, I'm thinking with what I already know about the character, which is to say we're into science, we like discovery. We might be looking into going into environmental studies, biology, botany, physics. I'm going to go with pattern recognition, because we know already we said something there. Finding joy in patterns. So let's take pattern recognition. I need 1 more. I'm thinking researcher. Now this is all just lore for your character. This does not have any mechanical influence whatsoever. This is just character building. Personal challenges that hold you back. Overachiever's burden could be something. Analysis paralysis could definitely be something. Imposter syndrome could be something. Social anxiety is something I very much have. Curiosity scarce. Night owl problems. Inherited expectations. And chronic disorganization. So basically, I am all these things. Curiosity. I think curiosity is good for a game where you are in a dodgy archive and things are moving and you shouldn't go where you heard the noise, but you've got to go anyway because this is what we do in horror movies. Let's not go disorganization. I feel like inherited expectations work well with this guy being a legacy candidate. I keep saying candidate. A legacy, I work in HR, so everybody to me is a candidate. Alright, so from here, you then get to tally your truths, which just means we are going to count how many of each suit of cards we pulled, so we can see which appendix we will be working with. All right, let's start with the lowest. I have 2 diamonds. That's not going to work for us. I have 4 hearts. That's not going to work for us. I have 4 spades. That's not going to work for us. So ding, ding, ding. The winner by 5 cards is clubs. So we will be using clubs as our appendix. All right, on shuffling, I'm shuffling back into the deck now because I probably won't be pulling any more cards tonight. So that, but in the game, you will shuffle when you are done with your orientation section. You will shuffle every game morning when your character starts a new day. And whenever you run out of run out of cards during the day, you can also shuffle. We go back to orientation week. We've completed step 1. We are moving to step 2, finalizing admission. So it will tell us to... now I say I don't have the character sheet open, but yes, now you will go into your character sheet and you will mark that you have 5 energy. Energy is your mental well-being, your stamina, things like that. As soon as your energy hits 0, you are exhausted, and any further energy lost comes out of your health bar. Your energy regenerates when you have afternoon downtime by rolling on the rest table. So you have to take actual rest actions, and that will depend. It will have I think a d6 roll table. It will tell you how much energy you recover. Sometimes you have bad dreams and you don't recover any. Sometimes you have really good dreams and you recover a lot. Health, you have a maximum of 8 points of health. This is your physical well-being. If you drop to 0, your character is dead. Health regenerates during rest as well. There will also be prompts in the actual game that tells you you can now regenerate health or energy. There will be things like weird-ass potions that you find that will let you regenerate health or energy. Then your last attribute that you have is resistance. Now, this is your ability to withstand the archive's corruption influence. This does not naturally regenerate at all. So this is the thing that only really goes down unless you get a prompt that something happens to actually restore some of your resistance. So what happens when you lose all your resistance? So the game has 2 progress sections, or 2 methods of progress, and they are both found within your appendix. The one is influence, and the other is resistance. Influence measures how well you are doing with the secret society. You gain influence through doing archival work. So by performing your shift duties, you will gain 1 influence per shift, in which you've completed at least 1 actual archive task and you haven't failed any tasks. But just keep that in mind. Resistance, like I said, only goes down. So resistance is how well you withstand like that whispering in the back of your head of the archive trying to influence you. As your influence goes up, for every 5 points of influence, there is a little story section. So there's a little bit of extra lore that your character gets from the person who sponsored you into the secret society. Now, this is preset game stuff. You can ignore, if you want to play like a sandbox type games, you can ignore things like influence, you can ignore things like resistance. But as the game is set up to actually have the endings, you will get to 25 influence or you will get to 0 resistance. Whichever comes first is what will trigger one of the 2 endings for that section. Like I said, 4 endings. There's 4 endings per appendix, so 4 endings per horror genre. Let's say we've completed our character sheet. I forgot to open it up. But yes, 5 energy, 8 health, 10 resistance is what you start with. So now you'll also see on your character sheet there will be things like giving your university a name, giving the society a name, giving them, deciding what your what's it called? Your field of study will be, giving history to your character, to your university, all of that. So this is how you will, before you get to the next step 3, you will complete all of that. Now, I will actually come back and do that later. Otherwise, I'm going to break up now and then I'm going to forget to keep going. ADHD is a bad thing. So let's just keep going for now. Step 3 is your move-in day. This is the day you move into your dormitory. This is where you start creating your first NPC because you have a roommate. Lucky you. You'll see some of these have optional journal prompts. That's just to get you writing if you need something to give you ideas of what do you want to journal about. Before you get into the actual playing section of the game. So let's do our NPC creation. Click on that. You'll see we have a weird little system. that has you drawing 4 cards and laying them out on top of each other. Now, I wish I could have demonstrated this, because I don't, like I said, I don't have the hand cam yet. I have it ordered, but it hasn't come yet. But first we will draw 4 cards, and I will put the first one down at the bottom. It says 7 of hearts. I'll put the other one down, just covering the bottom of it. You'll see this one goes down, this one covers like the bottom half of it. The next one covers the bottom half of that, and the last one covers the bottom half of that. Okay, so far I've drawn the 7 of hearts, the 3 of diamonds, the king of diamonds, and 8 of spades. Now, important to note here, you'll see the if you look at your cards, you'll see there's like the symbols in the middle. They generally count up to the number here, and then you have those little decorative symbols at the right at the bottom of the number. You do not count the little ones. You only count the big ones. Some cards, like the king, the queen, all the face cards really, the ace, the king, the queen, they don't have all the little symbols, so they are always count for their visible suits. So a king will either be a 1 or a 2. The actual value of the card doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the number of symbols that you can see. So a king, my king, I can only see 1 diamond. So my king counts for 1 diamond. I have my 7 of hearts at the bottom, so I can see 2 hearts. Then I have my 3 of diamonds. I can see one diamond on that. I can see 1 diamond on the king of diamonds. Then I have my 8 of spades, my 8 of clubs at the top, and I can see all 8 of them. So what this tells me is then I will count it. Move down a bit. Hearts is our appearances, spades is the personality, diamonds is the role, occupation, and clubs is motivation. So I will count my cards together. Like I said, 7 of hearts, I can see 2 hearts. So my appearance, let me just open this up. Appearance will be 2 of hearts. My roommate is... Ooh, how do you spell roommate? Like this. I don't actually know if it has 2 M's or not. It's neat and tidy, always wears clean clothes, practical clothing, and they prioritize comfort over style. Now going to, I have no spades, so I don't know what the personality of my roommate is yet. So we just made each other, that makes sense, I don't know them that well. So this is something that I will discover with gameplay later on. I can come back and pick anything, or I can make something up for them. How this works is anything that you don't see, you don't use. This is the no suit rule. If a suit is completely absent, that aspect of the NPC is unclear or obscured. So if you have no heart, then for some reason you cannot see what this person looks like. Maybe they keep their faces obscured or hidden. Maybe there's something really weird going on with them that you look right at them, but your brain doesn't recognize them. You don't remember what they look like. Like, this is a horror game, go for it. No spades means you don't know the personality yet. Maybe they're hard to read, maybe they're very cryptic. No diamonds means their role at school is very ambiguous or undefined. So you don't know exactly what they're doing there. No clubs, but you don't know what their motivation is. So it might be something random, it might be something unknown. It might just be something your player character hasn't learned yet. This sounds confusing at the moment, but as you start playing, you will get into the habit of doing this. This is a little example NPC that you can read through. Lucas Greaves. He's a 4th-year lab assistant. You'll see he has no diamonds when I pulled him. That is the section. This little card here, of this little graphic here, is what was created used to create Lucas. So you can see through this. You can have a read through this and figure out exactly how it works, how I interpreted it. Diamonds, role occupation. I have a 3 of diamonds and a king of diamonds. And on both of these cards, I can only see 1 symbol. So there's 2 diamonds in total that I can see. So this is my character, he's a sophomore, he, she, they, I don't know yet. It's a sophomore, balancing newfound confidence with lingering uncertainties. So my roommate is a little bit older than I am. Now, it might be that you actually get something like a professor on this side. If you do, and it doesn't make sense for a roommate, you just pick something else, or you can redraw your cards until you get something that actually works. Because obviously the dean will not be your actual roommate. So, and then the last one I drew was the 8 of clubs. So I have a motivation, 8. So their motivation is solving a family or personal mystery connected to their studies or the campus. Ooh, that could be interesting. We can go on quests for that. I will create like a little character for this later on when I come back, because it takes me a while to actually mull over this. Normally I do this when I'm cooking or in the shower or whenever. Then I create it in my head with all the information that I have, and I come back and I write that up. Alright, so we do have some other tables that you can roll for. Gender identity, sexual orientation, general fears. Now I do not have my dice with me today, so we are not going to roll for anything because I don't know where I cleaned my desk today, and this is always a terrible idea because now I don't know where my dice are. But yeah, you can roll for this if you like. We will just say, meh, not important currently for what we are creating. Alright, so moving in day. That took about 3 hours. Next step is the welcoming ceremony. You're in the grand hall. You meet maybe some other people. Feel free to create students and faculty as you see fit. You can do a little ceremony that introduces you to the university's traditions and cultures. There's some journal prompts that helps you work out that. School quest, motto, mascot, things like that. Then you have a little bit of a campus tour. That takes 2 hours. The campus tour just introduces the downtime section of our game. This is the things that happen in the afternoon from noon to 6 p.m. So that takes us to our downtime section. Like I said, noon to 6 p.m. You have 6 actions. So it's 6 hours, 6 actions. So you can do your resting. So you can roll a d6 to see how well you rested. That you don't recover anything. You recover 1 energy. You recover 3 energy. You recover full energy. Alright, so the rest of your downtime, you get to spend it in various locations. Either your dormitory or resident hall. You'll see there's card prompts for that. So you pull a card, resolve the prompt, do a little journaling about it. Each one has an action cost associated to it. So you know how long it takes you. This one takes an hour to do. This one takes 2 hours to complete. This one takes 3 hours to complete. Some ugly little drawing. You can also choose to, you can go to your dormitory. This is like a choice of where you want to spend your downtime. To the dormitory, to the library, to the campus grounds, to the campus commons. So commons is all your indoor areas, campus grounds, all your outdoor areas. Alright, this is Australia from a little while later. I had a bit of a, I don't know, panic attack, asthma attack. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was the humidity. My chest got tight and I couldn't breathe for a little bit. I don't know if you could hear it in my voice because I felt it going, so I just know, oh, something was wrong. But anyway, in the time that I was gone, I built a bit more out of our university and our character and our roommate, and I have some stuff that I can present to you now. So I've decided our university is called Evermore University. It was established in 1946. It is located in Vermont in an ancient forest. It specializes in environmental sciences and botany. Our colors are forest green and bronze. Our mascot is the Evermere stag. And like we said, we have Gothic architecture and the university is very research intensive. Our secret society is called the Hollow Root Society. It was founded in 1950 by exiled scholars seeking forbidden knowledge. Oops, I mistyped there. The motto is beneath the surface we endure. Their influence is quiet, but they have absolute control over funding, research, and faculty. So they have their fingers in a lot of pies. They are currently ruled by a council of 6 who are only known by their titles, never their names. The symbol for the society is a tree with hollowed out roots. I built some interesting rituals because I thought, as a legacy student, he's probably heard a couple of things. Ambrose Thorn, he hates that name. He prefers to be called Bram. So his family is connected to this Hollow Root Society going, well, not really that many generations because it's only like, what, 1950s. So at most 2 generations. So he knows a little bit about the rituals of the society. So he knows about the root binding ceremony, which is an induction ceremony where you plant a sapling, or you can give your rune, a rune or your name into an old tree. This symbolizes your knowledge starting to take root. There's the harvesting. When a member passes away, their collected research is either burned, buried, or archived, depending on their final wishes. And then there's the wilted candle ceremony, which is as a warning if a member is starting to, they are just drawing too much attention. The other society members will leave a half-burnt candle outside their dorm room as a warning. Mr. Ambrosius Thorn. His field of study is environmental science and urban ecosystems. He is very interested in, I wrote it down somewhere and I don't know. His research focus is he's interested in how urban environments shape natural systems. He picked extracurriculars, the Beekeeping Society and the Student Research Coalition. Like we said, he has a legacy. He is reluctantly inducted into the Hollow Root Society against his better nature. He is an academic by nature, but a skeptic by necessity. He was raised on the grand tradition of Evermere and Hollow Root, and he is expected to follow in his family's footsteps, but he doesn't quite believe the stories. And when his parents dropped him off, his father told him to remember that certain doors should never be opened, while his mother gave him a lantern on his first day and told him, "Listen when the walls speak." He thinks they're all being overly dramatic. His aesthetic, he wears wire-rimmed glasses and a tweed jacket that used to belong to his grandfather, and he always smells faintly of honey and ink. And the thing he fears the most is that his family was right all along. So he lives in Ashford Hall, which is his dormitory. It's aging but livable. It was once prestigious, but now it's a sort of last resort assignment for students who didn't request anything fancier. It has a weird smell that changes depending on the floor. Sometimes it's old books, sometimes it's pine and damp earth, sometimes it's the unmistakable scent of burnt toast, even when nobody's cooking. Plumbing is very loud, the radiators clang in winter, and the pipes groan when the showers are running. The basement has been locked for renovation since the 80s, and nobody knows why. There's a rumor that there's a secret third floor that technically doesn't exist. The students joke about room 313, a room that isn't on any of the official maps. Bram lives on the second floor. He's in room 217, which has hardwood floors that creak in oddly specific places. So he will need to actually memorize where not to step so he doesn't, bother his roommate. It came with one built-in bookcase, which is already half full. And he has a couple of, course materials already in there, old research papers, books on beekeeping, fungi, urban ecosystems, etc. The previous occupant left behind a cork board, and there's still a few tattered pushpins and scraps of old notes wedged into the frame. And the dorm bed is too short, so Bram's feet always hang off the edge if he doesn't sleep curled up on his side. So our roommate, I decided to call him Julian Hale. He's a sophomore, so he's not entirely happy to be bunking with a freshman. Appearance, he's always neatly dressed. We pulled that from the cards. He favors comfortable, practical clothing, so he's often in wool sweaters, well-worn jeans, and the same reliable pair of boots. He wears gloves more often than seems necessary. He keeps odd hours. Sometimes he's gone before Bram wakes up. Sometimes he returns late, and he never explains where he's been. He prefers silence to small talk. He'll acknowledge Bram with a nod, maybe a one-word reply, but rarely initiates conversation. He's always watching. He's not nosy exactly, but he notices when things that Bram does not. And it's kind of unsettling to Bram. He has strange books. They are not all course-related, and some are old and in languages that Bram can't read. And one is so worn that it looks like it's been handled for generations. So there's a bit of a mystery surrounding Julian. The welcome ceremony just tells you the school's crest and motto. I did that. Campus tour, I think I was busy with when my my voice crapped out. 4 sections of prompts that you can decide where you want to spend your time. It's your dorm room, it's the library, it's the campus grounds, which is all the outside areas. It's the campus commons, which are all the inside areas. So each of them, you'll see, has a card that you can pull. It has a prompt that you can respond to, and it has an action cost. So this thing takes... the residential advisor is hosting a team building event. It takes 2 hours to complete. We have campus commons. Let's see if we have something that takes a while. There's a trivia game going on in the common area. It takes 3 hours to complete. So I know from the playtesting, people have told me that they feel the actions. You have a lot of actions, and it sometimes feels a little bit like there is too much happening during the downtime area. Now, in the beginning, it will feel like this. As you start playing your actual shifts, your character will lose energy and you will need to rest more. So you won't have as many actions available for your downtime. But also remember, you don't need to take all your actions. This is a journaling game. It's not a min-maxing kind of game. If you want to do prompts, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can decide you want to do socializing instead, get to know your roommate, make some friends, go on a date maybe. You can decide you want to do extracurriculars, like we said Bram does beekeeping. So he can go spend maybe 3 hours on the afternoon that. There's no mechanics tied to it, so that's just a straight up journaling session for me then. So the actions, you don't have to use all of them. You can if you want to. If your character is very busy, if he has a bit of ADHD, sure, use all of them. But yes, but also remember that as we build more codices for this game, there will be more things that you can do during your downtime. Extracurricular showcase. This is just like I just said. There's no actual mechanics to this. This just takes 2 hours that Bram walks around campus and does like, I think in America you have those on the campus squad where you have all the groups sitting in and the new freshmen come in and everybody tells them a little bit of what's available at the school. I know I've seen this in movies. I don't know if this is true. So it's something like that. Your character can go through and see what extracurriculars you want to have at the school. Remember, just because you pulled something during the foundational charter doesn't mean you have to use it. It also doesn't mean that you are only limited to using that. So, all right. So then, step 4, your dormitory icebreaker. Just spend some time in your residence hall, get to know some other dorm mates maybe. Then for step 8, we do a sponsor introduction. So I'm going to do the same thing I did for Julian, which is I'm going to draw a NPC character, but I am going to use, instead of using the tables from this section, from the early section, I'm going to use the tables from the club section. So you'll see there's a creating NPC section under each of the appendices as well. So let me first actually pull my cards. Let's see, we pull 4 cards. Now I'm going to start to arrange them. You'll remember. Let me just go back to this one so you can see the picture. From the first card, second card half covering, third card half covering that, fourth card half covering that. So my first, I've got a lot of reds here today. I have an 8 of diamonds, and on top of that I'm placing a 5 of diamonds. And on top of that I'm placing a 4 of clubs, and then a 7 of diamonds. What? There's so many diamonds. All right, so now actually. Now, the interesting thing is, I know for a fact I don't have any hearts, so I don't know what my society sponsor looks like. So, Bram has never seen them. So maybe they communicate through text, through left messages, but they've never actually... Or there's something about him that he hides his face. Maybe he wears a robe, maybe he wears a mask. Bram doesn't know what this person looks like. What we do know is we also don't know their personality because we have no spades. I have 3 cards that are diamonds, and if I count all the visible symbols from that, so I can see 2.5 from my 8 of diamonds. The half you count, like you see this here, you do count a half. Partial symbols still counts towards the count. So that's 3 diamonds. Then I have 5 of diamonds, and I can see 2 of them. So now currently we have 5 diamonds total. And then I pulled the 7 of diamonds. So 5 plus 7 is, 12. So 12 diamonds. That diamonds we said is the role and occupation. So this is it will be a fairly high up society member. And then we have, I can see 2 clubs from the 4 of clubs. So we know our motivation is that. So let's see. We will roll, I said 12, right? All right, so it's a lawkeeper. Let's just put in a sponsor. I will come back and create this character. It's the lawkeeper. They collect and safeguard oral traditions and superstitions unique to the society's history. And we know we have a 2 of clubs, so motivation. Desires to uncover forgotten lore buried in ancient forest and hidden glades. So this actually works really well with our lawkeeper already. So this is the only thing we know about this character. We don't know what they look like. We don't really know their personality. We know they are the official lawkeeper of the society, of the Hollow Root Society, and from what they've told us so far, we know that they are mostly focused on uncovering forgotten lore. Names. Don't put me on the spot like this. I'm not good at coming up with names. Let's go. I feel like I'm calling her Sophia Langston. Maybe my character doesn't know this yet. Bram has only just met her, so he doesn't know a name. But I know a name because I will probably actually create like... You'll see if I just go, yeah, this is like my Apothecaria playthrough. I have my journal, my inventory, my locations, my ailments, my potions, calendar, reagents, character scripts. I will eventually create all of that for this game as I keep playing. Right now I'm just sticking it all into one thing, and all the stuff that I actually drew during the foundation is also here. So I will sort through this, and actually love setting up these things. I know a lot of people do not like this amount of prep. Um, I don't know if it's what it is, but I love prep. Prep is my favorite part of playing solo RPGs. It's actually also my favorite part of playing group RPGs. I'm often a DM for a D&D game, and prepping is the most fun I have. Maybe that's why I enjoy playing solo so much, because I can do a lot of prepping. Nobody will tell me this is too much prepping, and nobody can come by and just destroy my game afterwards. Campus tour we did, extracurriculars we did, icebreaker we did, sponsor info, and then we have our society initiation, which I can go through and do little a bit of journaling about that. We know Bram has to go out one night and do a solitary night somewhere like creepy, dark, and write a very exposing journal entry about that and submit that to Sophia. And then lastly, as a step 10, our early shift at the archive. Let's say the sponsor will give your character a tour of the actual archive and the sections that you have access to during the early shift, which are three different sections. It is the Arcane Fundamentals, which is a academic, magically inclined archive, no, a room. You can see it as stacks. You can see it as a room. You can see it as just like a collection of bookcases, however you like. There's the Occult Archives, which is more myths and legends, less academic, more storytelling. And then there's the Alchemical Wing, which has practical guides and experiments. As I said before, influence, you gain one influence per shift in which you've completed at least one task and haven't failed any tasks. I will get into how you fail tasks and how you complete tasks in a second. And resistance is the thing you wear down as you play. So you get into your early shift. It is currently 6 p.m. Bram is ready to start his very first shift. He gets that tour of those three sections of the library that he currently has access to. When he gets to the late shift, you'll see there new areas become available for you. So you will get new areas that you can go into. Some of them are locked, and you need a specific kind of coin that you get from your sponsor to enter those. One coin unlocks one door. So the coins do not. You can't use one coin to unlock all the doors. As soon as you put the coin in the door, it sticks. It doesn't come back out. Early shift, you start with 6 actions. You can use these actions as you see fit, either by performing tasks or just exploring the archive. You will notice in the early shift you'll find a note that has work instructions and the following rules. Never leave any book open when you step away. Do not speak to anyone who enters after 11 p.m. unless they speak to you first. Do not open any packages that bear the symbol of a stamped coin. Now, this coin looks exactly like the coin that your sponsor will give you. At some point, you'll see in the influence milestones, this coin does get described when you get your first one. Can break these rules if you like. Somebody asked me, what mechanical benefit do you have to breaking rules? Why should they break the rules? You should never break the rules. The rules are there for a reason. But some people like breaking rules, and some people are very curious and want to see what happens if they break the rules, in which case you can go to the consequences and see what happens to your character. So you will be determining your tasks. Like I said, you can draw cards for it. So you can get a heart, you'll be shelving books. For diamonds, you'll be cataloging new arrivals. For spades, you'll be guiding and assisting visitors. And for clubs, you'll be doing basic maintenance. You can also choose which one you want to do. Next, you don't have to draw for it. This is just, like I said, I like random actions in my game. So I like not making the choices. I like having the cards draw it for me. So you can draw cards for it. You can decide what to do next. You can decide how many tasks you want to complete with your 6 actions. You can do one task and then decide your character is now bored. He doesn't want to do more tasks. He wants to explore. So he will use the rest of his actions to explore the locations. So locations for each card draw is an action. So one draw, one action. So you will draw a card, get the prompt, resolve it. Let's say I drew a heart card. I'm not going to draw for it, but let's say I did. I now get to shelve books from the return card. So I'll go to the shelving books section. Now this, I'll need to roll d6. I still have not located my dice, by the way. So I don't have it with me, but you'll roll a d6 to see how many books are on the return card. So you'll get between 1 and 6. From there, you will generate the books. For that, you will draw 2 to 3 cards and consult the book topic table. And then you will use that as an inspiration to create your book. So what you can create is whatever you like. If you just want to do a title for the book, you can. If that's enough for you. If you want to create scholars in certain sections or certain areas that write books often in that area, you can do so. If you want to write, let's say, indexes for your books, you can. If you want to draw book covers, you can. If you want to actually, you probably don't want to write the whole book out, but you might want to write snippets and sections from the book. Whatever, like, gives you joy. This is set up very generically, just to say you create the book, but you can maybe experiment around, see what you enjoy doing the most, what gets your creativity flowing. Consult the book topic table, which is next page, and then you will decide on a location to shelve that book. Now, the locations you have access to are these 3: the Arcane Fundamentals, the Occult Archives, and the Chemical Wing. Now, where you decide to shelve your books is up to you. There is really no mechanical reason for one over the other, except that you build the archive that you want to build. So you are setting up your own Dewey Decimal System, basically. So however you want to shelve it, however chaotic or organized, that's up to you, up to your character. When we do finally decide on a section, and we have, like, let's say we have 2 books that we need to do. So we go to our book topic table. We'll pull cards. Let me just pull. I said 2 to 3. So when you pull 2, it is more like an easy mode. When you pull 3, it's a bit more difficult. I'm going to pull 2 cards. I have an Ace of Diamonds. So I have Secrets, and I have a Jack of Spades. Secrets and, well, Spades. Forgotten. So something about forgotten secrets. Now, here I did an example of a book that I did with 5 of Hearts, 9 of Spades, and a Jack of Hearts, which I did the Whispers of the Cursed Bones. The author is anonymous. They chose that because they feel like the whispers are coming for them, so they're a bit paranoid, so they don't want to put their name on the book. The topic is about using human and animal bones in divination rituals. With account of practitioners who claim to hear the voices of the dead. The cover design is a black background with like white embossed lettering and an image of a fractured human skull that's cracked as if something came from the inside. Some chapters in the book is a brief and incomplete history of osteomancy, which is, bones divination. Common interpretations of bone shapes and cracks. The Song of Splintered Ribs, a case study. Augurs who fell silent, recorded failures. And I have decided this book will be shelved on the Occult Archives because it's mostly legends and myths and stories told. So this is not really an academic book so much as maybe The Ravings of a Madman. Who knows? You can do as much or as little with the books as you like. This was my favorite thing to do, coming off of some chapter ideas. I had so many more, but I had a little small bit of space, so I couldn't include them all. At some point, I might just play through it and just add all my books like to a document that you can find on the Discord, and anybody who wants, if you pull a book and you are out of ideas, you can just go check and maybe use someone else's book instead of your own. You can do that. That's why we have like the legacy system and community content and things like that. I also have an idea of creating a couple of experts and scholars for maybe some of these things. So if you run out of ideas, you can just go reference that section of people who are known for writing in this particular field. You're welcome to create NPCs for them if you like, or just create books for them. Feel free to submit that for a like community library type thing. All right, so we have our Forgotten Secrets book. We give it a name. We give it an author if we like. We write what kind of secrets is in it. Forgotten Secrets tells me it's probably some kind of myth or legend, so I will probably also put that under Occult Archives. Now, the thing with shelving books is not all books want to be shelved. So there's a little card battle that you need to play when you shelve a book. You only need to play this once for every shelving books task you have. It doesn't matter how many books you actually have to return on that task. So like I said, I pulled a heart, so I have shelving books as my task. I rolled for 2 books, so I have to play the shelving battle. I need 1 success to actually shelve both books. And so this is basically blackjack. So you'll draw 2 cards for you, the custodian, and two cards for the books. And both of you try to get as close to 21 as you can get. You may hit or you may stay. The books automatically draw another card if their total is below 15, and they stay if the total is higher than 15. If the books are closer to 21, the book wins and they refuse to be shelved. If yours is closer to 21, then you win and the books do get shelved. Now you can attempt this game twice per each batch of books. So for these 2 books, if you fail the first one, you can try it again for free. And if that still doesn't work, if you fail, if the books win again and they refuse to stay shelved, then they really refuse. They will not move from the return card for the rest of this shift. This counts as a failed task. So if you get a failed task on any of your tasks for the evening, you do not get your influence with the society. For the society, you need at least 1 task completed. Now remember, the tasks are these 4 things here. You need to complete at least 1, and you need to have no failures. So 1 failure on any of your tasks means for that evening, you do not get your influence. You need 15 influence to gain the late shift. So this game is set up to play for a little while. It's not like a single session kind of game. And that's also why I want to build in the codices. So if it takes you a while to get to 15, it shouldn't be like a rush to get to 15. The gameplay loop of this game is about creating these books. It's about creating the archive. It is about exploring the sections of the archives you already have. So this will take a couple of in-game days to get there. But like I said, if you have a successful task, you can decide, all right, 1 task is enough. You are not going to gamble or roll the dice to do another task in case you fail it. You're just going to explore for the rest of the evening. You can do so. Some of these don't have like failure options. I think cataloging new arrivals is another task that you can do. For this, you will roll a d6 to determine what you got. On a 1 to 2, there's no arrival, so you can redraw for a new task without spending an action, or you can use this particular action to explore one of the archive locations, so you get like a free exploration for that. If it's a 3 to 5, then you will roll again to see what you got. So it can be a handwritten journal, it can be leaf notes, it could be a collection of photographs, sound recordings, collection of ephemera, unfinished manuscripts, things like that. You can draw 1 card from the deck to cross-reference with the book table. So let's say I got sound recordings, and I will draw a card. It is a Queen of Spades. So Queen of Spades, so spirits. So sound recording of spirits means some kind of ghost recording. Maybe like, what's it called? EMF meters. That and it's been a while since I've watched Supernatural, where they actually record the ghosts speaking. Occult archives, maybe. I don't know if that actually counts. It depends on what questions they ask the spirits, eh? Maybe they ask them like academic questions, and then it will be more of arcane fundamentals. Maybe they ask them about. Maybe it was a potion master that they asked, and it will go to the alchemical wing. Your choice. You'll see on a 6. A package arrives, but there is a stamped image of a coin on the package. This means this particular package is it's meant for the late shift. So like you remember, rule 3 said don't open packages that has a coin stamp. Now you can choose to ignore this rule and open it anyway. This mostly means there's probably like a relic in it. This is a dangerous thing. If you do want to play with it, you can go. You'll see your late shift does have like a section on relics. What you'll do if you get relics. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to spoil it. But mostly you'll first have to draw on this consequence table because you broke a rule. Then there's guiding visitors. That's underneath here. If a visitor, you'll roll a d6 on a 1 to 2. No visitors. You can draw again, do a new task, or you can use this action to explore the archive instead. Do some prompts maybe. 3 to 6, a visitor does arrive, and they need your assistance. So you will, once a visitor arrives, you will draw 1 card from the deck and then also cross-reference your book topic table. So this one is 10 of clubs. Go back to my book table. Clubs. This particular NPC is looking for a book on potions. Obviously, if this book exists, it will be in an alchemical wing. Now, if I haven't created a book for potions yet, this means I don't have this book, or this book is checked out, or we do not. The archive just doesn't carry it currently, which means I cannot help this person. Now, what I can do is I can write their name down, write down what they're looking for, potion book. What if you want to do more information about what kind of potions it is that they're looking for, you can do so. Then remember next time that when you are shelving books and you do happen to pull a potion, that you can come back and contact this NPC to tell them the book they were looking for has come into the archive and they can come pick it up. And then if this person is a member of the society, remember you did your NPCs, if they are a member of the society, you gain 1 bonus influence for actually helping them get this book. Either immediately, if you can pull the book from the shelf to give them immediately, or if you call them afterwards to tell them a book came in and you can help them now. That's a second method you can earn influence by. You can also offer them a related book. So this example I used is they looking for books on fauna, but you don't have that, but you do have a book on forests. So you will not get the extra influence from this because this is not exactly what they're looking for. But they are happy enough to take it and they will look for it. Maybe it will help them do their research or their schoolwork or whatever they're looking for. Maybe it won't. This is not a failed task. It is a successful task, but you do not get the bonus influence. If you can't help them at all, then you will roll on the denied request response table to see how they take that. The other task that you can do is basic maintenance. You will pull a card to see what kind of task it is. Dust the shelves, sweep the floors, polish the brass lamps, organize loose papers. If you complete that, you will roll a d6 to see how well you performed your tasks. On a 1 to 3, everything went smoothly and the section is once more sparkly clean. On a 4 to 5, a minor phenomenon occurred. On a 6, a moderate phenomenon occurred. So a moderate phenomenon counts as a failure. That means you failed your basic maintenance. A minor phenomenon is not a failure. That means you are still successful if you pull it. So your phenomenons are these tables here. This is your minors. There's your moderates. And there's the consequences for breaking rules. At some point, you'll see some of them says, draw and discard cards until you get your assigned appendixes encounter cards. Now, remember, our appendix is clubs. So I will draw until I get another club. If I actually roll for this, never leave a book open. So maybe I did leave the book open, and now the book's contents is spilling into reality. So now I have to draw cards until I find a club. And then when I do find my club, I have a 10 of clubs in my hand when I pulled the potions thing. So let's say I do find the 10 of clubs. Then I will consult my encounters. So this is like a fighting mechanic. There are three types of encounters. There's puzzles, there's traps, and there's combat. There's an encounter table that you will refer to. So you have your player stats, just a reminder, your health, your energy, your resistance. How combat works is you as the player always attack first unless the monster has surprise or advantage. It will tell you in the encounter table which of them do have advantage. If they attack you first, you will lose 1 energy before the combat even starts. If you attack first, you do not lose that energy. So you take turns attacking. You will roll a 1d6 on each turn and resolve it using the attack table. Combat ends when either you or the monster's health is reduced to 0, or when your resistance is 0, or if you decide to flee. You can flee at the cost of 1 energy. You can roll to see if you're successful. If you fail, the monster attacks you again. If you succeed, you escape. If you get encounters isn't, it's not a success-failure type thing, so even if you flee, it doesn't count as a failure because this is not a task. This is just something that happened because you were doing something that you shouldn't have been doing. So monster details, the monster's health is always tied to its card value. Because I have a 10 of clubs, that means my monster is it's a moderately strong one. They will have 10 hit points. If it is a monster. We will see in a second when I pull it. We'll go to attack tables. This tells you how the attacks work. Weapons, relics, tools, and knowledge. Anything that you have catalogued or learned in the archive. And you can reasonably motivate why this is effective against the specific encounter. Do so. This will gain you a +1 to your damage. Or advantage, in which case you will roll twice and use the biggest one. If you build a relic that has that's a type of weapon. you can use that as a +1 damage during your combat sections. So we will roll our d6 and take turns doing things. This is all the player attack outcomes per roll. This is the monster attack outcomes per roll. 1 is a failure, 6 is a critical hit. On a critical hit, you deal the most damage. The monster also deals the most damage, plus they have an additional effect from the encounter table. Specifically of the monsters, this one is the one I drew. The root-bound sentinel is the encounter I'm going up again. It's a towering figure of twisted roots and bark that blocks your path. Its movement slows, but it is slow but deliberate. Its face is featureless, save for glowing green cracks. So this monster targets health. Every time it attacks me, it will target my health. Some monsters target your resistance, some monsters target your energy. So that is the attribute that you will use when you are fighting against them. So I will roll my d6, and I'll say I roll a 3 or 4. I will hit them for 1 damage. The monster rolls theirs. Maybe it's a failure. They fail to strike me. I go unscathed. I roll again on my side. We keep rolling until somebody's health hits 0, or my resistance hits 0, or I successfully flee from the encounter. If this particular monster were to take a critical hit against me, they rolled a 6. On a critical hit, it slams the ground, sending a shockwave that costs you 1 resistance. So it will do the 3 damage to my health, plus it will take 1 of my resistances from me. A monster doing a critical hit is bad. You don't want that. And that's about it for early shift. So you keep going, and then you go to bed. You survive to early shift. If you had at least 1 task that was successful, and you had no tasks that were failures, you gain 1 influence for the shift that you completed. If you had a visitor that you could help with a book, then you gained an additional bonus influence. So you can gain a maximum of 2 influences per shift if you can complete a task, at least 1. You can do more. You can do all 6 your actions as tasks if you like playing dangerously. You can also, you'll see specifically in the, let me just go back to encounters, late shift, somewhere here, I think. In the late shift, when you get to the late shift, you'll see there's now a special rule. It means, because I drew I have the club's appendix, every time I draw a club card, that means I will trigger an encounter. I no longer have a task that's related to clubs. You don't do maintenance, basically, during your a late shift. Cards shifted around to accommodate for that. So when I draw a club, it's going to be automatically an encounter. But because we do want people to actually, enjoy the game and play the way they want to, you can choose your archive's danger level. So you can play in safe mode, which is to say only the first club I pull during a late shift. Per shift, it triggers an encounter, and then any additional cards I just put back in the deck and I shuffle when it's dawn. I can play it on standard mode, which means I can trigger up to maximum of 3 encounters per shift, or I can play in danger mode, which means every single club I pull will be an encounter. So the exception to the club rule, or to the, if it's a hard section, it will be exception to the hard rule, because you will be drawing hard clubs. The exception is NPCs. This is not affected. So if I'm drawing cards to do my little NPC stack, then clubs for motivation will function as per normal. It is only when you are playing the actual shift, doing your tasks, putting prompts from the locations, the club rule falls in. And that's about it, setting up my game. I will now go create actual journal for this and do all my little planning and prepping and the stuff I like so much. Find some character art to go with it, maybe do some drawings, and I will just build out my game like that. And this is like, I guess, a session 0. I'm setting up the game. I haven't actually started playing it. This is just setting up all my character, my lore, my world building. So 2 single NPCs. I don't know. Does this sound interesting to you? If it's something you would like to see me continue playing, I will probably get better at this actual play stuff. This is like my first time. I'm very nervous. So I will get better. I will hopefully it will be less humid than the next day, and my lungs will not be so scratchy. But yes, I can happily keep playing this game if you like me to. Let me know. Leave a comment, leave a like, do a follow if you like. There will also be in the actual description, there will be a link to this game. It is currently, when you see this, the game will be available on both itch.io and DriveThruRPG. Well, links will be in the description. There's also links to any way that you want to follow me. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Let me know if you want to see more. If you're interested in following Bram's story at Evermere, let me know what you want to, if you want to see more, and I will keep playing the game. Thank you for joining me. Good night.